Welcome to Birth to Boardroom. I'm Natalie, and today we're celebrating women who don't wait for permission, don't wait for rescue, and don't wait for someone else to save the day. Because this show is all about women who step into their power and lead with purpose. Before we begin, I want to introduce you to the incredible woman who is behind this movement, and her name is your host, Deb Kowalski. Deb has helped brands stand out, and now she's helping women do the same. As your host of Birth to Boardroom, she brings inspiring conversations with trailblazing women who turn passion into purpose. Deb has helped brands stand out, and now she's helping women to do the same. As your host of Birth to Boardroom, she brings inspiring conversations with trailblazing women who've turned passion into purpose and are changing the game from starter to success. Before we get going, I also want to introduce myself. I'm Natalie, a strategic leader who blends clarity, creativity, and courage. I've spent my career building high-performing teams, transforming experiences, and reinventing brands across global boardrooms, bringing energy and a signature Friday feeling flair. Deb, thank you for bringing me into this series. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Natalie. It's been so great having you on as my co-host in this series. Today's conversation is one I know will resonate deeply with so many women listening. Today's guest is a woman who embodies human-first leadership, resilience, and purposeful impact, Bethanie Lunn. Our topic today is Power, Pivot, Purpose, Human-First Leadership for Sustainable Growth. We're going to talk to Bethanie about exploring how leaders harness their power, pivot when necessary, and create purpose-driven teams that thrive. Human-first leadership strategies for sustainable growth and long-term impact, and discovering the power within navigating pivots and leading with purpose in high-stake environments. Bethanie, as a visionary leader, has built high-performing teams by focusing on people, power, and purpose. She teaches us how to harness leadership strengths, pivot strategically, and create sustainable, purpose-driven growth in any organization. Bethanie, welcome to Birth to Boardroom.
Thank you so much. There was a second there. I was like, is she talking about me? Wow. Thank you.
You have to remind yourself that is you. That is you.
Yeah, absolutely that. Yeah, thank you so much. I could do with
my
alarm. Stop.
What was that, Bethanie?
I could do with that as my alarm. Start my day that way. That's fantastic.
There you go. Great idea.
Thank you.
Well, your story reflects what so many leaders experience when they focus on people first and lead with purpose. So let's start by letting our listeners get to know you. Can you share a little bit about your journey and the moments that shaped your approach to leadership?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've not had a linear journey with leadership at all. In fact, I think the best kind of journeys with leadership are non-linear. So I started in journalism and communications. I went on to build my own PR agency at the age of 23, led teams across growing businesses, startups, scale-ups over the years, or dare I say decades, moved into SaaS and tech, but always focused on growth and performance. I think what really shaped my leadership was seeing the difference between teams that delivered results through pressure and teams that delivered results through trust. And I always found that the highest performing environments that I've been a part of or created or shaped in some way weren't the loudest or the hardest. They were the ones where people felt safe enough to think and challenge and contribute. And that's where the whole human first leadership stance that I now consult through, provide, build, bring into the roles that I have, and the belief that if you get the people piece right, performance follows.
Spot on. 100%.
Thank you. Yeah. Some people forget that though, right? And some brands and some global businesses, they forget that. It always baffles me.
Yeah. And it comes down to trust every time.
every time.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, Bethany, have you ever seen aggression or pressure driven leadership deliver short term results but undermine long term performance? How can leaders avoid this trap?
That's a great question because I see it too often. Yeah, I'd love to say that I don't, but I've seen it time and time again. And in specializing in growth and performance, I've often contributed to the growth of a business and seen them change or forget about people, for example. So aggression can look really effective at first. You can often see quick wins, you see fast output, it drives a sense of urgency. But what's happening underneath is that people stop speaking honestly. They play it safe, and over time, you lose innovation, you lose trust. So, that kind of stance can absolutely deliver short term results, but it does undermine long term performance, in my opinion, and in my experience. So, the shift for leaders is really realizing that you don't need to create a pressure environment to create performance. You need to create clarity, trust, as you said, Natalie, and accountability. And you need to lead by example on those things. So, aggression doesn't really solve problems, it suppresses them. And those problems don't go away. They actually surface when they become expensive. Expensive lessons aren't easy to learn.
Or
Exactly.
lessons learned, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And your point about creativity and how everything can get stifled, and that's also expensive, right?
Yeah.
You can't just magic up creativity, but you can absolutely foster an environment that will make people feel like they can contribute creatively.
Yes, you have to create that sort of safe ground and recognize what your team are brilliant at, each one of them as individuals. And stifling their brilliance is very dangerous because what will then happen, not only will innovation decline, but attrition will increase and you'll lose talent. They'll eventually leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Sad times.
in what ways can helping people recognize the power they already hold to have that strategic leadership capability, would you say?
It's a great question. I love that because I often hear interviews or, I read a lot, I listen a lot, I watch a lot. I'm always learning. I think I have this expression, every day is a school day. But I find that so many resources lack the how.
Yeah.
Well, how do I do that? So I think one of the most strategic things a leader can do is help people see what they're capable of before they believe it themselves. So it's really looking into who somebody is and, as I said, what they're brilliant at and helping them believe it, because they often don't see it. We're the same. Everyone's the same. You often don't see your own brilliance. So it's helping them see it for themselves and spending the time, though, to identify that, in the first place. So
It's the power of positivity,
it is,
right?
but also honesty and actually, being generous enough to make somebody feel good about themselves. So many people underestimate their influence as leaders, and even on your team, they underestimate themselves and they hold back their voice, especially in those high pressure environments. So when leaders actively recognize strengths in their team and create space for contribution and build confidence, you unlock a completely different level of ownership and performance.
Yeah. And actually, honesty can sometimes be uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
honesty is still going to help that person. Just because you're being honest about somebody's direction of travel doesn't mean that you have to be, you said the word aggressive, doesn't mean that you have to be aggressive or harsh. You can do it with kindness and you can help to redirect, right? Because honesty is so powerful.
It really is. Yeah. Honesty and aggression don't go hand in hand for me, like honesty and kindness do. It's interesting. And the whole confidence boosting as a leader that you have almost a duty to bring out in your team. Confidence isn't like a prerequisite, it's often the result of being given opportunity. So it goes back to that whole trust thing. You have to trust your team and give them the opportunity. Else, how are they going to prove themselves to you and themselves and in each other?
Right. Right. And when you really think about it, it's very simple.
Yeah, really is. It's gone way too convoluted, I think, and we need to strip it back to basics. Same with marketing, the world that I'm in. It's gone too much. Everything's too much in the world, and I think if you just strip it back to the core meaning of being a leader, it's not dictation, it's not listing out tasks, and it's not putting on the pressure, it's leading. So your job really is to lead by example and bring out the best in your team. So you're right, it's simple if we remember that.
It's very simple. And what I find interesting too, and being in leadership roles in my career, I feel it's always so important to, like you said, Bethany, allow your team that opportunity and lead by in a loving, kind way. Because at the end of the day, they are going to be 100% there for you if you take on that attitude, and they will do everything and anything they can. And by you allowing them to grow, it's going to make you look good as a leader. So it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. Yeah. And I love a loyal team that are willing to do anything for you. And, it's almost like seeing them learn off you, again, that leading by example and building that trust culture. It's an incredible feeling as well. It feels good. I mean, who wants to go home at the end of the day and think about how many people they've hurt or the pressure they put on somebody to turn them to stress or attrition and leave and hand the notice in? I certainly would want the absolute opposite in building a high performance culture. I want the team to thrive, and then the results will naturally as well.
Yeah. Wonderful. So you've spoken about being misunderstood in certain environments. How do you now decide where to invest your energy as a leader?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I've been massively misunderstood. I think partly because I was late diagnosed with ADHD and it all made sense at that point. But I used to spend a lot of energy trying to prove myself in environments that didn't really value how I led. It was like kindness was a weakness in some way, and empathy wasn't seen as a skill or a strength. So what I learned is that leadership isn't just about how you show up, it's about where you show up. And I became very conscious about my energy and where I spent it. So I'm now more intentional about investing my energy in people and environments where like empathy, curiosity, collaboration are strengths, not weaknesses. Because I honestly believe now, and it's come with age and experience and probably confidence with that as well, that not every room is yours to win. Some are yours to walk away from. And I'm okay with that. And I try to help people realize the same thing.
I love that. I think I try and take away snippets in the moment when we do these discussions. So not every room is yours to win. Some rooms are there to walk away from. I think that's just beautifully put. And I shall have that in my head.
I'm full of cliches. I love a bit of cheese and philosophy, but I honestly believe that life is too short, and don't spend your energy on people or rooms that are committed to misunderstanding you. Absolutely. It's just not worth it. It just is not worth it. Your life, your time, your energy, your health. I've learned the hard way, but I'm glad I've learned. So
yeah, it's it's interesting because all of us are more towards our tail end of our careers, right? I would say kind of mid to tail end of our careers.
I'm just starting out.
Just start.
What are you talking about?
I'm trying to be politically correct in how I said that.
We've come a long way. Been around for a while.
But don't you wish that we would have learned all of that at the very beginning of our careers and known that? It's so nice to be able to have this podcast with you, Bethany, because you are sharing those experiences through your career with women that are listening in that are just starting out in their careers.
Yeah.
What a great example to present to them in areas of learning for those women that are just starting out.
Yeah, thank you. I hope it does do that. But your question, I wish I knew that earlier. Some part of me says yes, because maybe it would be easier. But then it's that whole cliche again, isn't it? That I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't have experienced it. Because all the times that I failed, I learned the most. I think you learn when you fail way more than you do when you succeed. So if you continue
100%.
to get it right and you had all this amazing wisdom early on, I don't know if it would impact the way it has going through all the really terrible bits and the hard bits and the heartache and the threatened health and so many examples that I could share, being frog marched out of an office. Yeah, I mean, times have changed, but so many experiences and so many of them from other women, which is really saddens me. I think some of my greatest challenges in the workplace have come from other women who I see as allies. So there have been some really tough pills to swallow, but they've 100% shaped me for the better.
Yeah. I think if I was able to go back in time and change some of my decisions, I may not have done some of the things that I have done in my life. And actually, I would be less rich in those experiences, because sometimes it is, well, in my own experience, it's been better to just do it and then deal with the consequences, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Plain ignorance.
Yeah. I'm still doing that now. There's, many examples like you, Bethany, where, I've made some decisions and maybe I shouldn't have done, but I did. and then we just have to deal with it.
Yeah. And I think that's part of it, though. More cliches for you, but there's a lot of sayings out there that it isn't the destination, it's the journey, and putting a modern current spin on that. It really is like half the fun and the lesson is in the experience of it all. And we've spoken before, we know each other out of the podcast, and you mentioned perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective is everything. And as I get older, I'm realizing the power of that, the power of perspective. And even in a day, if I think, oh my God, today was so hard, I'm like, but what wasn't? What worked? What have I learned? And it's difficult. It's a real conscious discipline to try and, find the light in something. But I know that not finding the light really sucks. So I know which path I'm going to choose. Majority of time we don't always get it right, but trying is, I think, part of it.
Exactly. And then we talked about this a little bit earlier, and that's regarding sort of trust-based teams. So again, in your experience, how do leaders balance speed and performance targets, which is everything, while building that trust-based team that sustains that growth over time?
I often, there's often a belief that you choose between speed and culture. But in reality, the strongest teams have both, right? So when people trust each other, as you mentioned earlier, they communicate faster, they challenge ideas earlier, they solve problems more efficiently and effectively. So trust doesn't slow performance down, it actually accelerates it, but in a more sustainable way. So I think trust isn't like a trade-off for speed and performance. It's actually what makes those things sustainable. And speed sustainable as well. So if the two run trust and speed concurrently, you've got a high performance team. So for a leader, it's like not letting one drop without the other. It's marrying them together and thinking, right, how can I win the trust? And win is the right word. They don't owe you, you owe them as their leader. So how can I win their trust, maintain it, generate it across the team, and move at speed? And it's often, again, just that perspective. They both have to run together.
And it's hard because leaders will be under pressure themselves. And it's how to balance taking on that pressure while still getting the best out of your team and building that trust. And it takes exceptional leaders to just step back, probably, to be able to just take a moment.
Take a moment is right. But then if I was to use trust again, trust in yourself, because let's face it, we're all just human. So there will be days as a leader where you say, oh, I've got imposter syndrome. Not that I believe in imposter syndrome, but those moments where you doubt yourself and you think, can I do it? But am I out of my depth? They're natural, normal feelings we all have. And I wish we talked about them more. Maybe your amazing podcast will help us to do that. But there are, of course, moment to moments where we're like, can I do this? But you've got to sort of look within and go, okay, if I don't know how, I'll find a way. Maybe I'll even draw on my team to help me. And that transparency and honesty again does build trust. So you're not pointing the finger and saying, you do that for me, or you should know how to do that. You're instead saying, hands up, leading by example. I don't know the answer to that. Can anyone help? And if not, let's work as a team to find the answer and make it happen. And you're generating involvement.
Absolutely. I love that, because I think there's, you won't always have all the answers. And the word I would use is a vulnerability, but maybe there's a better word that you can express, Bethany. But I think sometimes that maybe it's that authenticity with your team, which is, I don't have all the answers, right? You are like the collective brains in the team. What do you think we should do?
Yeah, and it's in a no pressure way. I equip myself with phrases, and I'd recommend that for any leader, any person. Equip yourself with phrases that almost elevate how you communicate and how you can be understood. And this probably comes from being so misunderstood. I had to work extra hard at not proving myself necessarily, but just being clear in what I'm trying to say and interpreting my thought and my chaos, if you like, into something that's palatable for other people. So I learned to help people understand how to almost get the best out of their own worth and their own performance by getting them to think in the same way. So it's almost using my ADHD wiring as a skill set to help other people understand themselves and be as self-aware as I've learned to be. And self-awareness is incredibly powerful.
It certainly is. I'm trying to do that myself.
It's hard though, isn't it?
We're all human. We all have our good days and our bad days, don't we? It's like, and it's so important to understand that.
Exactly.
As a leader.
It's completely okay. It's human. And I wish we all put our hands up and said, I'm not feeling it today. I need your help, team. Or, in any relationship, in or out of the workplace. I found it really difficult to ask for help when I was younger. I saw it as a weakness, and I saw, as you said, Natalie, saw it as a vulnerability. And I still am very challenged about appearing vulnerable. I know where it comes from. I've done all the work to understand it, but it's a work in progress for sure. Yeah. But what the difference is I'm okay with being a work in progress.
Yeah.
We all should be. I implore yourself, to give yourself a break, give yourself grace. Nobody has ever got it right all the time. If we all put our hands up and said that more, it'd be a lot more comfortable to be vulnerable, I think.
Exactly. And at that point, we're going to have a little mini break so we can just relax a little bit now. Okay, everyone, let's take a moment together. We're at the halfway point, so whatever you are right now, pause. Take a breath in. And remember, you have the power to create change, to influence the world around you, and to lead with humility, empathy, and intention. This is your reminder to straighten that crown, girlfriend, because you've absolutely got this. Feeling a little more grounded, a little more lifted. Good, because we've only just got started. Back to you, Dan.
Oh, that was great, Natalie. Thank you for the wonderful refresh. A little stretch, 30 seconds, relax. Let's jump into the rest of the show here. Bethany, this has been such a great conversation we're having with you. We're really, truly enjoying it.
Oh, me too.
So, how did your late ADHD diagnosis reshape your leadership identity and the way you approach performance and support within teams?
Oh, goodness me. Oh, honestly, it changed everything. It changed everything. So my ADHD diagnosis was a huge moment for me because it reframed things I'd questioned for years, my whole life, really. And so what I once saw as challenges or criticisms, such as my intensity or thinking differently, I now recognize as strengths, particularly in how I connect ideas and people or how I identify patterns. It's also shaped how I lead. I'm much more aware that there isn't one right way to think or work. And great leadership is about creating environments with different styles that can thrive. And because I think so laterally, and I understand my pattern of thinking now, and that I can see this and this all at the same time, I can adapt to most environments, any environment really, and the same with people. And I can identify very quickly what they need. So it didn't tell me something was wrong with me, which is, I think, what I wondered at one point, is there something wrong with me? It actually showed me how I'm wired to lead and work with all those things that were revealed as strengths, not weaknesses. It was incredibly powerful.
So let me ask you, how far into your career were you diagnosed?
Only about 3 years ago. So
Wow, okay.
yeah, so really late. And when I was growing up, there weren't these labels, there weren't these knowledge paths and platforms to discover so much. So it was just a library, like a physical library you walked into. I remember a world without the internet, and it just wasn't the same world. So we didn't know these things existed, let alone identify with them. And we didn't have that connection to people all over the world through social media platforms. But it was on a social media platform. I watched a video and it was like, oh, I have ADHD and this is me. And it summarized that person. And I started crying. And I was like, when you get these goosebumps and the hairs stand up, and I was like, that's me. I'm getting them again. And I identified with it so strongly. I thought, this makes more sense than anything I've seen so far about identifying with who I am and the way I'm wired, that I started to get the ball rolling on a diagnosis and who we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting because, like you said, in the past, it was just, you just functioned.
Yeah.
Everybody just functioned. They call it what now, on the spectrum,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
autism, ADHD, all of them, OCD.
Too. Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody just went through life with no diagnosis and just figure, well, this is who I am, and never really, paid attention. We just thought that this is your being and this is my personality, and
Yeah.
I've just got to work through it. So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah, but I did struggle, and with it, I'm not saying get a diagnosis if you suspect that you might have any form of neurodiversity, but it was just something I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And it changed my life because it, like I said, it gave me clarity and it put everything into context. Some people would suspect and they don't need a diagnosis, they're okay. Or some people think, I call them neurocurious. They think maybe I am, but I don't need to know any more than that. I just relate to some of these resources and that's enough for me. So I think you have to find your own path with it. You have to find your own path with anything in life, in my view. So do what's right for you. But this connected me to myself, and as a leader, help me connect to other people, because with ADHD comes a great ability to have empathy with others. It can be a blessing and a curse, but understanding how people work and how they think, recognizing the patterns of behavior, and emotively connecting with people as a leader, that's in safe hands, a very powerful set of skills to have. And that goes back to the trust. These are things that help me build trust very quickly with people.
It's a
Yeah,
superpower.
Yeah.
it is.
It's a superpower. I mean, not everybody is gifted in this way, and people are gifted in many different ways. But, I think in my experience, and obviously, Bethany, we've worked together, I have so much admiration and respect for the work that you do. And as a leader, it's absolutely fantastic. And you are in abundance with the superpower.
Oh, thank you so much. That's lovely. It's really nice. I feel very privileged when someone says something like that and also recognizes it, because, yeah, maybe it was before the ADHD diagnosis, or maybe it was a mixture of that, not knowing, and the lack of self-awareness. But now that I have all those things, I feel just almost like super focused on I am who I am type of thing and choosing my own path and my own terms. Well, we can all do it, whether you have ADHD or not. So having lived through it and done it and continue to sort of practice that, bring it out in others, of those who I lead, the teams I build, the brands and businesses I help grow, it just feels such a privilege because I can see the change, the positive change on every level. And I love what I do. I've actually created a group which is hot off the press for you guys. So it's in my Untamed Academy. So it sits inside Untamed Academy and it's called Spicy Reset. So it's very small and selected. It's only 10 places because it's one-to-one mentoring with me, but it's for the neurodiverse, neurocurious and neurospicy people. And I'm saying, if you identify in any way in that you do not fit the systems and your way of thinking isn't a match for what we're conditioned into in the workplace, especially, then please reach out to me about getting one of those 10 places. And I bring in all sorts of theories. There's rituals inspired by the 5 a.m. club. There's Ikigai. There's really sort of focused on self-awareness, making you feel powerful by working with who you are, not against it.
Amazing. And I'm assuming the inspiration from the 5 a.m. club is actually 5 a.m. Right?
No, that's the thing. Remember, it's your own term. Elmo.
I'm just double checking.
Yeah. So I take inspiration from 5 a.m. club, which I love, but I have never set my alarm for 5 a.m. I actually set it at 6 a.m. So yeah, when I say inspired, I really mean it. It's got to work for you as an individual. You've got to bend the rules. That's another brilliant trait of ADHD, the rebellion and the non-conformist in you.
Gosh. Yeah.
So yeah, I couldn't do exactly what I'm told to do.
No. Don't fit in that box.
No.
Bethany, tell me more about Untamed Academy. Give the viewers a bit more info, because I find that so intriguing. I mean, that's just one section of your Untamed Academy. What else you got going on in there?
Yeah, so Untamed is a real symbol. It's symbolic of me stripping away the layers and becoming untamed, and actually speaking about who I am very honestly, leading in the same way and helping others do the same. So there's two sides to it. There's the Untamed consultancy that sees me and a panel of consultants deliver work for brands and businesses that want to grow through authenticity, trust, and human first leadership, and show them how effective that is. So it can look like lots of different things. At the moment, I've taken on a contract for a year with a cancer innovation company. So sometimes it could look like full-time work and delivery. Other times it could be projects. The academy, to your point, is a sort of range of services and courses. Some are prescriptive to the individual. Some are really created from listening to what people need. There's everything on there, from time management through to presentation skills, how to be confident on camera. There's resets on there that look at your energy on a seasonal level and help you make the most of your life and your work and who you are. And they're very sort of prescriptive to the individual. And the neurospicy sits inside all of that. So it's very focused on those with neurodiversity on any level.
Wow, so impressive.
And aside from anything, I love the term neurospicy.
Yeah, we would.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm leaning to that. I'm leaning in that direction.
Yeah. Well, there's this funny joke, inside joke, if you like, that people with neurodiversity feel like they have the power and the right to diagnose other people. It's not true. We don't. But we think we do. We think we can do a lot of things. But no, it's amazing because actually the more self-aware I became, the more I looked around my immediate circle, and I was aligning and gelling immediately with other people that might have some form of neurodiversity. And a lot of them, the majority, had been diagnosed too. I was like, oh, you do too? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, knew we liked each other. It's very bizarre, but it's almost like a magnetic pull. And you see some kind of common thread that's unspoken somehow. It's an energy maybe.
I
Yeah.
think there's an energy, and maybe as what you were describing is the taking that chaos and then translating that into like an action or using your phrases to help you move through things. I definitely recognize that
Oh, okay. Yeah.
100%.
Bethany, I would love to put that in our show notes for our viewers.
Yeah.
Any information you have on your Untamed Academy that they could look into, that they would have an interest in, we could
Yeah.
put that in our show notes when we put out your episode as well. We'd love to have that for our viewers. I think that'd be great
Thank
content.
you. Yeah, for you and your viewers, I'll make sure you've got all the links. Yeah, thanks so
Yes,
much.
fantastic. Well, I've got another question for you. What are the commercial risks of fear-based cultures, and how can leaders spot these early?
You know what? I feel like there are a lot of commercial risks. So, where to begin? I guess the biggest commercial risk is that you lose visibility of what's happening as a leader. So, people stop raising issues because they're frightened to. And they think maybe by raising that issue, the spotlight's going to be on them. Maybe they're going to lose their job if they speak up. So, they avoid risk, and problems therefore get buried instead of solved. And all that slows innovation, it impacts retention, and ultimately affects performance and revenue.
Yeah.
And I see it so often, and I can see it happening. And I obviously, in the right environments, in the rooms that I do want to influence and give my energy to, maybe that's even why I've been hired as a consultant through Untamed. You can stop it from happening, but you have to, as a leadership team, be very conscious of it and want to do it. You know, I've been in those environments that the C-suite or the leaders of that company, they don't want to do it. And if the problems are at the top, it won't change if they're not on board with this. So the healthiest cultures, they surface problems early and they speak with honesty and transparency. And that's what allows organizations to move faster and make better decisions. Because fear doesn't remove the problems, it delays them. And delay problems are, like we said earlier, they're always the more expensive problems.
Yeah,
Exactly. So
yeah.
let's talk about creating meaningful impact. And I know that this is especially important to you, Bethany. So
Yeah.
what does human first leadership look like in a high stakes environment, such as the healthcare or your cancer care innovation where you are today?
Yeah, so in healthcare and cancer care innovation, the human impact is it's incredibly real. So you're not just building products or hitting targets, you're actually contributing to patient outcomes and people's lives,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that naturally brings a different level of purpose. And I love work like this because of the purpose. But it also means teams need to operate with both precision and empathy. So this is like the perfect example of what I was speaking about earlier, how the two have to marry and run concurrently. So human first leadership, it's in that context, it's not a nice to have, like empathy isn't a nice to have. Human first leadership isn't a nice to have. It's essential to doing the work responsibly and effectively. Because without that, how are you able to create those stories and the targets and the precision and the effectiveness and the delivery and the performance if you're not putting the patient or the person first, if you're not leading in that way, if you're not thinking in that way in your marketing? I mean, the whole thing exists for those people. So when the impact is human, the leadership has to be too.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to be doing work and to deliver that kind of level of impact, I mean, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, responsible. It makes me feel responsible.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like I'm making a difference. It makes me feel excited to be part of the future, which is why I've always leaned into whatever sector it might be. I've always loved tech and SaaS and growth and innovation because it's always driving movement and purpose and moving things forward. And that's also a pattern of my thinking: next, next, next. I've learned to be very present, but I've had to learn that. And it's almost like a training. But the industries I tend to choose, they have that empathy and innovation, and it feels exciting. It's a big responsibility, but the kind of challenge of that is one that I adore because of the difference we're all making and being a part of it.
Absolutely. And totally off piece a little bit, but just to share at this moment, I had to work super hard to convince Bethany to come and work for us in the previous role.
You made it look easy.
Well, I mean, I sensed that you were someone that was going to be purpose led, that, that whole thing about the team, the trust, the innovation, the creativity. So I
Yeah.
did my best to kind of like share that with you and say, come and join us, come and join us.
You did a very good job because I did join you.
That's true. That's true.
Bravo.
Whew. I had to work.
Good job, Natalie.
I had to work at it, boy, because there was like other people that were like desperate to have you go and work for them.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I have to say, Bethany, you are a beautiful human being.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I hardly know you. I've gotten to know you just a couple of times now. This is our second conversation, but wow, you're just a beautiful human.
Oh, thank you so much. You'll make me cry.
Oh, well, if that's going to set the scene now for us to do the love note. So this is
Anyway,
this is a feature that we've had in all of our podcasts. We absolutely love it and adore it. We would love for you to share your love note to yourself, to your former self as a child, looking back and where you are today. Do you still feel comfortable to do that?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Let's
because,
go.
it plays to everything I've talked about on your amazing podcast. So
Yeah.
I did start with saying if it was a love letter to my younger self, I'd definitely tell her to buy shares in Google. I couldn't help it. Oh, I knew. But no, seriously, I'll read it out. So I'll try to get a lump in my throat.
Take your time.
Bethany, trust yourself sooner. Things that make you feel different, your intensity, your instinct, your empathy, the way you see people and possibility are not weaknesses to hide, but strengths to lead with. One day you will understand why you felt so misunderstood for so long. And the ADHD diagnosis, yes, you read that correctly, will reframe your whole story, not as something broken, but as something brilliantly wired. Remember that the judgments people make of you are often a reflection of their own fears and insecurities, not a definition of who you are. What people tell you that you are is not who you are. That truth is something you discover by looking inward, not outward. You can't validate yourself through other people and their opinions. Stop shrinking to fit other people's expectations or trying to convince those comfortable in misunderstanding you. You do not need to be louder, harder, or more aggressive to succeed. Your power, or your superpower, is in seeing the human in the room and building cultures where people can do their best work without fear. Stay kind, stay curious, stay brave enough to pivot when something is not aligned, and do not waste energy on those committed to misunderstanding you. The leaders and communities meant for you will recognize what you bring. And remember, you were never meant to be tamed. You were meant to be untamed.
Wow.
Absolutely gorgeous, Bethany. And your beautiful vulnerability is something to be proud of, and it's brave to share. So thank you so much. And it was a joy to be working with you. I'm so glad to have snagged you in. Grateful to have made that connection, because you are just an awesome human being, as Deb said.
Thank you so much. Look at the love in the room. If us women did this every day in some form, what a wonderful world we'd live in, right? And
Absolutely.
also, thank you so much back, both of you, for providing this platform to have such honest and safe conversations. I felt really held. Thank you.
Beautiful.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. How did that make you feel writing that love note to yourself, Bethany? How did you feel after you wrote it?
Honestly, I had a tinge of sadness because it's sort of what we said, where what if I knew now back then. And I thought things would have been so much easier. But then I realized what I said on this podcast, that I wouldn't have probably learned the lessons had I not been through the experience, the journey destination things. So, after the initial tinge, I was like, what a relief. It felt relieving.
Yeah.
Because it made me realize that I had realized that. I wrote it to myself after all, and I was like, the realization of, wow, I really have been through enough and used all those painful moments perhaps as fuel. And you know what, to be able to say, and I know you don't think I'm bragging when I say this, but be able to say, I love who I am, is a place I've wanted to get to for so long. And
Wow.
I love who I am. And reading that made me realize that. So thank you. I feel like it's a gift. Yeah.
Stunning. And Deb and I have got to do ours. we keep
Oh, you've not done one?
we keep kicking the can down the road, but we should take some heart and inspiration. And in all honesty, hearing you say, I love who I am and where I am today is really touching. It's made me feel quite emotional. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Beautiful.
And then for a bit of fun, because if we could play some music, we would be playing it loud and proud right now. If we were able to play your song, what would it be and why?
Well, let's think about all the themes that we've talked about. So it's got to be Fleetwood Mac, Go Your Own Way. Life on your own terms, choosing your path, being afraid to go a different road if it's seemingly the opposite one to most people. I actually feel that going the different way or going your own way is the best thing you can do. It really is. If there's one thing I'd leave people with, it'd be like, you don't need to become someone else to lead powerfully. All that gorgeous stuff we spoke about, like empathy, perspective, the way you think as an individual, that's not something to dilute. It's something to build from, and being brave enough to take all those pivots and go your own way when things no longer align. It is scary. It really is. But you will thrive at the end of that road because it's the one you chose to go down, not settle for, not sit in uncomfortably. And it's okay to be uncomfortable sometimes. I think you grow from that. But if it really is like going against who you are and making you feel sick to the stomach, step away. There's always an answer. There's always an answer. Because I think that's where the real sustainable success comes from, that your own path, your own truth. Go with your gut.
Definitely. And if we can add into that a wind machine, okay, so we've got that atmosphere, Stevie Nicks and a long flowy dress, and have that all going on as well. Love that song. Such a beautiful song.
Yeah, I love Stevie Nicks, the whole vibe, the bohemian rebel, like, so a great example as well, so strong in her own right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, she wasn't apologetic about who she was. She knew who she was, that self-awareness again, so yeah. Please
There's a regalness about her. I took my kids to see her in concert. This was a number of years ago. Fleetwood Mac was in Phoenix, and I told my kids, I said, we have got to go see. Stevie Nicks is going to be there with the band. There's a regalness about her on the stage when she comes out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What a great symbol of all the themes, like authenticity, is mentioned. Yeah, she's it.
Owns it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Bethany, let me ask you, if you could leave our listeners with one message about leading boldly, pivoting when necessary, and leading with purpose, what would it be?
Don't be afraid of the pivots, because they're the moments you learn the most. Yeah, don't ignore your instinct on this, because you know it. It's that voice, that niggle, that gut feeling that probably makes you feel a little bit sick or a lot scared. It's often the best thing to do. So just trust yourself and go your own way.
Love it. Oh my goodness. That was incredible.
Oh,
absolutely.
I work in marketing. That's like, lovely little spin there, I mean it genuinely from the heart. Go your own way. Honestly, don't let anybody try to tell you what to do and like govern your life for you. And the how is starting by looking inward. and just saying, right, who am I? What do I want? What really matters? Trust it. Don't stifle it. Be brave. It does take courage. But surround yourself with people that, like you guys, develop your network. Don't have to do it all alone. There are people out there who will listen and who are just like you. Find them.
Yeah.
That's the
Wonderful.
one.
Absolutely wonderful. Bethany, thank you so much. This was an incredible episode with you.
Oh,
You are such a light. Oh my goodness.
oh,
Really.
well, I hope I've made you feel inspired in some way.
Absolutely.
Well, you inspire me both back. Thank you again. I've loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I shall spread the word if you need any more women on your podcast. I know so many. And as I said, we've got to be allies. So there's so many brilliant women that I'm sure would love to meet.
Well, that's what this podcast, Natalie and I are building. Why we feel it's so important is the support women need for each other. We need to be able to come together globally as women and support one another. And we don't do enough of that, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
We need to have that support with one another and not feel like we're competing against each other. Let's come together and just elevate each other.
Yeah.
You're so right.
That's what we're
Yeah, you're so right. Because, sharing the success is enough to go round. And sharing the opportunities and your success doesn't dilute that for you. In fact, you'll find it returns in spades. So, it's kind of like, like you said, don't compete, like help each other out and you'll see the return.
Absolutely. Natalie, thanks again. You know how I feel about you.
High five.
High five virtually. We will get together soon in person, Deb.
Oh.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will for sure. As soon as that shop opens up,
yes,
I'm telling you, I'm out there right now coming.
Can't wait for the launch. We'll be there. We'll come in force.
Yeah, by the time this episode is out, we will be live.
Yes. So exciting.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I look out for the invite then. Yeah, get a whole troop of people over.
Definitely. All right.
Well, we're going to play over.
Yeah, we're going to just finish up with our little bit of music to say bye-bye and see you next time. What an incredible conversation, a powerful reminder of what happens when women step into their voice, their influence and their full potential. Every woman listening today carries that same strength within her. To our listeners, thank you for joining us for another episode of Birth to Boardroom. Keep rising, keep leading, and keep showing the world what's possible when women back themselves. And before you go, share this episode and invite others into our global community of empowered women. Don't forget to visit www.birthtoboardroom.com and join the movement.